Jamunatira vanachari Jamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira vanachari Jamunatira vanachari
Omagyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarovasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vrishabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Nama Madhurya Ujjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Tu Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaur Kishoraya Shakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambar Sambodhe Padambujayate Nama Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhom Shri Jagannathayate Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, dear devotees. I welcome all of you for this Chaitanya Charitamrita class and discussion. So this chapter name is Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. So Kaviraj Goswami, sitting at the Radha Kund, he compiled this great literature in our tradition of Gaudiya Sampradaya, where he establishes Tattva more than lila. Chaitanya Bhagavat generally describes about Mahaprabhu pastimes, Balya Lila and all. But the quality, the uniqueness with the Kaviraj Goswami was that he belonged to Bengal, but he came to Vrindavan and he had that great lineage of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, and he merged both the things together. There are lot of biographies on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu which describes about the pastimes, about the Balya Lila or another Lila. But there were very less books which were talking about the Tattva. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when empowered Rupa Goswami and sent him to Braj here, so that he can explain the Bhakti Tattva in detail. And this was like a unique contribution in the school or university of Bhakti. It was never be the case like the Bhakti was explained in such a refined way. Even at the time of Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya, what was the definition of Bhakti? That if you just remember Lord, it is Bhakti. But it was only Rupa Goswami, by the empowerment of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives the details and the types of Bhakti. And following the footstep of Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami also explained different types of Bhakti. Like in his Sandarbha, he described about Arop Siddha Bhakti, Sangha Siddha Bhakti, and Swarup Siddha Bhakti. So what type of Bhakti we does, this was the great contribution of our acharyas. Merely calling the name of the Lord was not Bhakti now. Then Acharya brought out the concept of nāma-bhās, nāma-prād, shuddha-nām. So otherwise we can just consider it, okay, I am chanting holy names, so this is Bhakti. No, it's not Bhakti. It is said 90% of energy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur went in that direction to explain what is not Bhakti. This was the challenge of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, to explain that no, this is not Bhakti. This is not Bhakti. Because it is over the years, over the tradition, it will happen that Bhakti will be covered with the karma, Bhakti will be covered with the jnana, or Bhakti will be covered with the karma kanda only. So the definition of karma kanda, karma yoga, they will apply into the realm of Bhakti yoga. That's why this Mishrit Bhakti concept came into existence. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is such a kind of a literature which describes about the Shuddha Bhakti and Shuddha Bhakti Tattva. So until unless we don't know the philosophy, then what we are practicing may be adulterated, may be mixed with something. But the more we know the clarity that this is the pure substance, then the practicing experience will increase. And when the sadhaka practice the real bhakti, there is a flow of emotions in the heart of a Vaishnava. That's why this verse which we are discussing today, this says, hlādinīra prema-sāra bhāvera parama-kāṣṭhā nāma mahā-bhāva. So there are few key words here in this verse. So we will try to describe this thing. What is the sense of this verse and how this verse is related to the previous verse or in overall to this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita where it is said confidential reason for the Lord appearance. So before moving ahead, let me ask you one question. Srila Prabhupada dedicates this Chaitanya Charitamrita. I will use this screen as a whiteboard so you can see and answer the things and can participate in discussion. Feel free to answer questions and ask questions. Should we go ahead with the first question? To whom Srila Prabhupada dedicate his Krishna book?
Father.
Very good. His father. What was the name? Gaur Mohan De. Srila Prabhupada dedicates his Bhagavad Gita, Sripad Baldev Vidyabhushan. Why? What was the great incidents happened because of which Srila Prabhupada dedicates to the Baldev Vidyabhushan? In which city? Jaipur, where Baldev Vidyabhushan sat down on Galtaji. There is a place in Jaipur from where in the hill you can see the whole city. There Baldev Vidyabhushan, when he was trying to establish Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhant, authenticity, because for any sampradaya to establish as an authentic, they need to have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So that time Chakravarti Pad was there, but he was old. So he sent Baldev Vidyabhushan to Jaipur, and he argumented with Ramanandi Vaishnavas over there, and he proved in the argumentation that Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhant is authentic. But what is the proof? So they need Vedanta Sutra commentary. So Baldev Vidyabhushan asked for a time for 1 month, and he sat down on that hill, Galtaji, and he compiled commentary on Vedanta Sutra, which was known as Govinda Bhasya. And along with that, he gave commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which was known as Baldev Gita Bhushan. So Gita Bhushan was the original commentary which came in our tradition, and Srila Prabhupada gave his commentary also in the flavor of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Baldev Vidyabhushan combined together. But he gave the dedication to Baldev Vidyabhushan because he was the original acharya in our tradition who brought commentary on Bhagavad Gita. That's why Bhagavad Gita was given to Baldev Vidyabhushan. So let's move to the next book, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada gives dedication of this book to Privācācārya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he writes, he lives forever by his divine instruction and followers live with him forever. So that was given to the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada dedicates Chaitanya Charitamrita to whom? You will be surprised. He offers this book to his readers. And Prabhupada mentioned, who likes to read my books? I dedicate to this. And my well-wisher who wanted me to write a commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's the culmination. Like you read some books and you come to that platform and now you became a lover of Srila Prabhupada books. And here Prabhupada said, I am writing this commentary to to those who like to read my books. Wow. This is the dedication. So to the readers actually. So this was just a small recap of what we are reading here in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all of you know. Now let's dive deep into the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The first chapter, in the first few verses, he gave one verse, and those one verse became the expansion into the chapters now. So this chapter is expansion of 5th and 6th verse of first chapter. That was the great qualification of our acharyas. That's how they used to write books. You will be surprised, when Jiva Goswami used to write here. So suppose this is one leaflet. And that time they didn't have paper. So Jiva Goswami used to write on one side of the paper, or this leaflet, and he used to put them into the sun to dry. And he used to take the another leaflet. Here he wrote the first verse, and on this leaflet he will write the third verse. So in the meantime it will get dry, he will write third verse, and then he will pick the first leaflet and will write second verse. And second verse and then fourth verse. So like this they were writing the literatures. So similarly Kaviraj Goswami also here writes, in the first chapter he gave a summary kind of thing, and then the rest of the chapter became the expansion of that verses. So we are almost discussing in Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is the 4th or 5th verse, 5th or 6th verse, where he explains the internal or confidential reasons of Mahaprabhu appearance. So before even discussing the internal reasons of Mahaprabhu appearance, Kaviraj Goswami discussed what were the internal reasons of Krishna's appearance. Now if we discuss on this question, Krishna's reasons or internal reasons for appearance, what would you say? What is the answer of this question? Why Krishna appeared? Yes. Give him the mic. Yes, speak loudly. Now here we are talking about Krishna, not about Mahaprabhu. So this is the answer of a Mahaprabhu. This is the next question.
Release the mahābhāvas.
To release.
Release mahābhāvas.
Yeah, again this is the answer of Mahaprabhu appearance. We are asking why Krishna appeared. So this is a simple question. Like you are sitting in Vrindavan, you are sitting in Krishna Balaram hall. Why Krishna appeared? Yes, Prabhu. Give him a mic. No, it's okay, I can understand. Yeah, very good. So this is an external reason. This is the external reason, which is the verse in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says about this. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanāthaya sambhavani yuge. So devotees, these are the external reason of Krishna's appearance when he comes, that I will establish the dharma. This is the external. But what were the internal reason of Krishna's appearance? Yes, some more hands. Yes, Prabhuji. Mike. Krishna want to relish madhurya rasa in Vrindavan. And by relishing that madhurya rasa, what he will do now? Yeah, you are right. Yes, that's good. Yeah, this is one of the reasons, like to relish rasa. This is Bhagavatam class. Katha is different, class is different.
Krishna wants to relish the Parkya rasa in Vrindavan and Madhurya rasa. It is not possible Parkya Krishna to Godoka. So you want to relish the rasa. That's why he appeared.
Yeah, generally we say like that he wanted to relish. But what he wanted to do for the sadhaka then? Yes, Prabhuji. Now this is a very important question when we go to preach. When we preach to the people, why Krishna appeared? Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna appeared to attract into human beings towards him.
Yeah.
During the first phase and attract human beings towards him.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's what Kaviraj Goswami says. Krishna comes here to give rag bhakti. That's one word answer. Rag bhakti, not the Vaidhi bhakti. In the same chapter which we are reading, in the 18th verse, Krishna says that if someone approaches me and consider me as a master and himself as a subordinate, I don't become very happy. Wow. This is a cut to the Vaidhi bhakti. Next verse in the same chapter, Krishna says, but someone when loves me in parentalhood, in servitor, or in friendship mode, as a lover, that give me joy. And few verses added to that, he explained, when my friends climb on my shoulder and say, oh, what do you think? Are you son of a king? We are equal. Krishna says, that gives me joy. And when the same Yashoda Mai, when she captured me, tie me, give me punishment, that gives me love. And the glorification of the Vedas are nothing. But when the gopis, then they chastise me, this is what relishes me. And now this is very important here to understand. When Krishna relishes these things, he come here, like Prabhu said, come here to relish these rasas. But he wanted to establish that, oh my participants, oh my devotees, if you want to approach me, approach me in this mood. Don't approach me in the mood of a Vaikuntha. That has already been given in the earlier ages. But in this age, when I come, when I appear, I come so that the sadhakas can develop an intimate relation with him, with Krishna himself directly. That's the internal reason why Krishna appeared. Now, when Krishna was about to appear, or like he wanted to give this thing to the audience, this was the same time when it was the time for killing the demons or establishing the dharma. That's why in the same chapter Kaviraj Goswami says, when Krishna appeared, then all other incarnation combined together in him, and Krishna appeared as Akhil Rasamrit Murti. So Krishna does not appear himself. And whenever he was killing the demons, now all of you know that this was the Vishnu who was killing that. He was there to relish those rasas, so that the sadhakas can get attracted towards this kind of intimate relation with him. That was his all core crux reason to come here. And this is the same verse in Bhagavad Gita which talks about that. Ye yatha mam prabhadyate tam tathav bhajamyam. Kaviraj Goswami also quotes this verse. Ye yatha mam prabhadyate. What does it mean? Like if whoever wants to approach him in whatever way, Krishna will reciprocate. That was the internal reason. And then he said to the gopis, in Bhagavatam, he says to the gopis, like, when we will experience this parakhiya ras, then it will be on higher ras. So let's go down and have these experiences by which we will attract others. Okay, having understood this concept, like this was the internal reason to give rag bhakti. Now this is very kind of a devotee's underestimated concept in our tradition sometimes. When we hear that, oh really, Krishna appeared to give Rag Bhakti, not the Vaidhi Bhakti? Yes, he didn't appear to give Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti was present, my dear devotees, in Vaikuntha. That was taken there. But in our tradition, it came as a Raganuga Bhakti, Rag Bhakti, or deep attachment. But when we say like, okay, he killed so many asuras, he established in the Mahabharata war, they were the external reason. Okay, if you have understood this, now let's come to the next complex structure or concept about the internal reasons of Mahaprabhu appearance. Now there are 3 reasons why Mahaprabhu appeared. You can see on whiteboard. It's pretty simple to memorize, and later on you can understand also. And this is what happens in this verse. First reason Mahaprabhu appeared, internal reasons, was to relish the position of Srimati Radharani. Now what does it mean by the position? So in the Shastras, there are 2 things. One is Ashraya, one is Vishaya. Who we are. Ashraya and Vishaya. Vishaya means object. And who is object in bhakti? Krishna. And who is Ashraya? Devotees. Or subject. Or in case, Radharani. Now there was a switch of position. We mentioned it was the position switch. So Krishna became the Ashraya over there. That was the first reason. He wanted to see the position. Like in our temple we have a position of temple commander, or we have a position of deity head or something. So you want to experience the position. So this was the one internal reason. Another reason was mentality of Radharani. Second reason was mentality. And third reason was happiness or bliss, which comes through the position or through the Vishaya, when one becomes the Vishaya. They all look similar, devotees, generally, but there is a difference in them. The three look similar. That what is the difference between the position and the mentality? Yes, they are different. One is the position, you go to the position, then after that you take the bliss or happiness of that position, or you carry that mentality of that position. So that's why Kaviraj Goswami explained, Radha-bhāva, like Krishna comes to take the emotions, he covered by, he is Krishna himself, but he takes the emotions of Srimati Radharani. So like, if I ask you in even personal life also, you carry sometimes different emotions. Now, as a person, you will be the person, whatever your emotion is. Ultimately, you will be that person. Similarly, when Krishna appears carrying the emotion of Srimati Radharani, externally he appears to be Krishna, but actually internally he is situated in the emotions of Radharani. That's why he was distributing this love. Now there is a pastime in Braj which is connected to this three internal reasons why Mahaprabhu appeared. Where does that pastime happen? If you go on Parikrama Marg, there is a tree called Imli Tala. Now this Imli Tala is basically the source of Mahaprabhu appearance. How, like when there are a lot of multiple times when the rasa dance happens, and after the rasa dance, one of the time when rasa dance happened like this, so Radharani disappeared from the Ras Lila. Now it happens multiple times, and in Bhagavatam also it has been described, but not that the pastime which comes at the Imli Tala. So what is the story of Imli Tala? Hopefully all of you know that when Krishna starts searching for Srimati Radharani and Gopis, but he could not locate them. So feeling separation from Radharani, so he comes under that tree, Imli Tala. He sat down and he was feeling so much separation that the Yamuna was flowing in front of him. And if you observe carefully, in the river, generally there are whirlpools. Whirlpools, do you know, like it's a circle, some circle. And Krishna happened to see them as the eyes of Radharani. Like, it happens now, like when you are thinking about something, that's what will appear in front of you. And you will try to find this personality in that. So this was the situation of now consciousness of Krishna. Now generally we talk about Krishna consciousness. Now here is a concept, consciousness of Krishna. Now what is the consciousness of Krishna? Like he is thinking about something. Now when he saw, he jumped into river. He jumped into the Yamuna river to catch her. But he came out, he was just watery. He could not find Radharani. So then he came and he settled down himself at this Imli Tala and he started chanting the name and remembering Srimati Radharani. Now when he started doing this was the time his blackish, bluish body turns out to be into golden effulgence. And he starts sitting himself or making his posture in such a way it appeared to be like a lotus. Now this was the time when Srimati Radharani and the Sakhis, they were approaching Imli Tala and they saw so much effulgence was coming from this part of the tree. And this effulgence coming was so attractive to Srimati Radharani, it is said this was the first time when she felt she is not chaste. That she is getting attracted to something else. There was some tinge of like, not just a tinge. Not that she fell. But later on when the group, whole entourage of Radharani and the Sakhis, when they approached to this place, Imli Tala, they found, he is our own Shyam Sundar. He is our lover. But they were surprised like how he got that situation, how he got into change in color. What happened to him? So they inquired. And this was the time when Shyam Sundar asked Radharani that I want to take one thing from you. And Srimati Radharani said, what is that? I want you to take or experience the love you have for me. And Srimati Radharani said that this is the only property I have. And Krishna said, I want to experience this emotion, like what you feel for me. And when Srimati Radharani said that, if you want to take everything, whatever the property is me, I will still love you. Then this was the origin of that verse. Asilasya va padartam pinastumam adarshana marmahatam karotuva yatha tatha va vidadhatu lampato mat prananathastu saevanapara. That if you want to even take my property, like everything I had in my life, still I will love you. And when this exchange happened, this was the, like, you can say, origin of appearance of Mahaprabhu. Now the point which we were discussing, that the internal reason of the Mahaprabhu appearance was to experience that love. By this pastime which happened in this Imlitala, we can explain or we can understand up to some extent, like, what is the love of Krishna? What is the love of Krishna? And that's why when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes carrying that emotion, he wanted to give this experience to every sadhaka, every jiva. Let them drawn in the Krishna prema. Not the char purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, but the original condensed real essence of existence of the jiva. That was the goal. That was the goal by heart. And to make it more exponentially increased, he brought Nityanand Prabhu, who is ultra avdut. Ghare ghare dhule prem amayaradan. That those devotees who don't even, those who don't even want, those who don't even desire, let them have Krishna prem. That's why actually Nityananda Prabhu is more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can put a question somewhere on Chota Haridas Thakur or Jagai Madai or Gopal Chapal, but yeah, like Nityananda Prabhu, Patra na dekhive janastan. He don't even see who is capable, who is not eligible. Everyone. And that was the same mode our acharyas carried on. That they didn't distinguish who is capable. How many of us were capable for the bhakti yoga? What pious deed we did? Not so much. Yes, expect maybe we were born in India, or maybe we were there. But that was not the real qualification. The real qualification was that we came in the line of these great acharyas. That was the essence of like existence of Srila Prabhupada when he said, okay, let them have bhakti. The great example which we hear, like when disciples asked Prabhupada, what was our Sukirti? Prabhupada said, no, there was no Sukirti. I built. I gave this by giving you gulab jamun. That's how it came. So yes, definitely it's a science, but who is giving Sukriti, that really matters. So giving the love for the Lord. And this verse is coming in this verse, devotees. hlādinīra prema-sāra bhāva. No, it's not there. Yeah. You can see on the board. hlādinīra prema-sāra bhāva, bhāvera prema-kāṣṭhā, nāma mahā-bhāva. Now there are few words. What is mahā-bhāva? What is bhāva? What is hlādinī-śakti? So these sections, the previous few verses, they are connected with this. So we'll try to go somewhere in philosophical here. So there are three types of energies. So like we have Krishna here. Now all of you know he expands himself into two incarnation. One is Purusha, the male type incarnation in so-called sense, and one is internal energy incarnation. Generally we hear about this part when Krishna expands himself into Balaram, and Balaram expands into the Chaturvyu, first Mahachaturvyu, and then the first Chaturvyu, Mahasankarshan expands into Narayana, Narayana expands into the second quadruple, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshan, Vasudev, and from the Sankarshan again comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu. So sometimes Prabhupada mentioned that from the Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, then these three comes. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. But the principle remains same, that these three comes. So ultimately. And from this Mahavishnu, then all this cosmos comes and all these things happen. Then he expands as a Shirodakshaya Vishnu to come into a heart, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu become the soul, super soul of the universe, and Brahma became the soul. And that's how one universe is working. Now the same universe works in the individual living entities also. So your body is made up of the 8 elements, just like the universe is made up of the 8 elements. So Kshirodakshai Vishnu exists as a super soul, and the soul exists as a personality. But in the universe, Brahma exists as the soul of the universe, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu is the super soul. So when Brahma leaves his body, when he dies after 100 years, this is the end of universe. So similarly, when the jiva, soul, leaves the body, that is the time when human being die. So that's the basically significant correlation between what is happening in this small universe and what is happening in the cosmos universe. So there's a great relation. And when we say like chitta is cleared, when the consciousness is cleared, that is the time when we say Shuddha Sattva, or you can say Mahatattva, because when the cosmos is created, the first thing which comes into the existence is the false ego. And when this false ego got mixed here and there with the Rajogun, Tamogun, Satagun, this results into the all combination of 5 Panch Mahabhut in Gyanendriya, Karmendriya, Man Buddhi and all these things. But all is resultant of just one small element called false ego. And that's what is running this world. It's very subtle. It's subtle than air. It's subtle than mind. It's subtle than intelligence. Then comes identification. Like it has been deep rooted in this human form of life that I am male. This is false identification. I am female. This is deep rooted. Every morning when we wake up, we identify I am brahmachari. This is into our consciousness. We identify ourselves as, yes, I am grasta. I am Indian. If there is a war, I strongly identify I am Indian, or I am Punjabi, or I am from UP. This is deep rooted. This is deep rooted. We hardly see ourselves as Jivira Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. When we see ourselves engineer. We see ourselves educated. How do we see ourselves? This is identification. That's what Bhagavad Gita Krishna says at the end of 18th chapter. Like, oh, Arjuna, until this point you are seeing yourself independent of me. Bring a switch of the ego. Bring the switch of the ego. Consider yourself as my part and parcel. You are doing on my behalf. That's the identification. That's the real Aadhaar card. That's the real identification again. That how do we see ourselves? When you see yourself in a connection with the Lord, that's the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. That's the switch. Following for regulative principles or knowing that we are not this body, we are soul, even this knowledge is known to the impersonalist also, Brahmavadi also. But the devotees, they go further when they come to this identification, how do we see ourselves? Just like if I give you like Indian, if I say you are Pakistani, this will hit your heart. You may agree with this thing that we are Mayavadis, but you may not agree with this statement that we are Pakistani. That's how deep rooted it is. We may feel insulted about this statement. But we may not feel insulted if even someone says, you are Mayavadi. Oh, okay, it's okay. Yeah, that's a hit on the ego. And that's what Shastras again and again and again and again, they impact on this point that you are something else. And whole lectures of Prabhupada, they were hammering on this point again and again that this is the beginning that you are not this body, you are soul. You are not matter, you are something else. You are separate from this. And that's gradually over the time, this covering comes into the intelligence, comes into the mind, then when one thinks that he is something different. In one of the purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in this section, when Prabhupada mentioned devotional service exists between two people. Devotional service does not exist in oneself only. What does it mean? That whenever you do some items or limbs of the Bhakti Yoga, you need to bring another personality. And what is that? Who is that another personality? That is Lord. That is Krishna. When you bring other persons, suppose you are chanting, you are doing kirtan, you are doing deity worship, you are doing cooking, you are doing management. for whom you are doing. If we don't have the second conception, second person in our consciousness, it's an impersonal thing. And having this thing, like dwelling on this concept, like how Krishna expands himself into the Balaram and to the universe, and establishing that how the ego works, now this verse will make sense to you, devotees, if you have understood this concept. Now Krishna expands into the internal energy also. Now this is a Shakti expansion. So here comes the internal energy, or sometimes it is explained spiritual energy. Now in the internal energy there are three internal energies. What is the first? Antaranga, yes, Antaranga is the internal energy or spiritual energy, but spiritual energy, Sandhani, Samvit, now this is the first word which we are explaining here of this hlādinī-śakti. So the essence of hlādinī-śakti. So before we move to the hlādinī, let's try to see what is Synonyms. What is the definition of Synonyms? Is, you can easily remember or memorize it. Sandhani means existential, like Sat, Chit, Anand. Let's change the color here. Sat, Chit and Anand. We hear about this. So Kaviraj Goswami in this chapter, Internal Reasons for Mahaprabhu Appearance, he established that Krishna's body is made up of Satchidanand. We hear, even the soul is also made up of Satchidanand. Now Satchidanand expands into categories, into divisions. That's what we were trying to say in the beginning, like this was the great qualification of Rupa Goswami, that he gave details of bhakti. Like different types of the messenger of Krishna, consorts of Krishna, gopis of Krishna. So this detail was never given. And this is known as when we say Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, so one of the factor which goes in establishing which Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama is knowledge. But what type of knowledge? The knowledge about the spiritual world. That there are three types of the energy and there are varieties of sakhas, varieties of the gopis, and there are different categories in them. So this knowledge makes anyone to the elevated of that stage. And when one can relish more when one has a knowledge. So I will try to show some example over there. What does it mean by Sandhani, Samvit and hlādinī? Sandhani-śakti is the existential power. Now, in the spiritual world, Krishna's mother, Krishna's father, Krishna's cowherd boys, all these are the expansion of Sandhani-śakti. So they come into this category. When we say bed, all this paraphernalia, all these things, they are the expansion of Sandhani-śakti. So Chit-śakti, the Sat-śakti. Now, correlation to this in the material world, Krishna's father, just I'm writing one number. When these three energies works in this material world, they also do the same thing of expansion of existence. Now what do you see in this material world which is the expansion of existence? So Kaviraj Goswami says, cosmos. Like in the spiritual world, there are expansion of dham, there is expansion of characters. Similarly, in the material world, there is an expansion of this cosmos, this material nature, mahatattva, prakriti, pradhan, and this land, this bhumi, this 14 planetary system. This is the expansion of existence. Like you need space, you need some place to act on it. So this is, in the material world, it's a cosmos. Similarly, the sense of the Samvit Shakti. This is the knowledge, cognitive knowledge. Knowledge means that kind of knowledge by which you get Krishna make you aware that who you are and what is the relationship, and you get to know a sense of that knowledge is that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is Akhilar Samrit Murti. The knowledge about the Brahma, its components, that is not the essence of Chit Shakti. The knowledge, by the knowledge through which you get to know. That's why Balram is the personification of that Adi Guru. And that's why Nityanand Prabhu is also Adi Guru. One of the Purport disciples says, Balram is Adi Guru of Shantaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, Dasyaras. And Nityananda Prabhu is the Adi Guru of Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras and Madhuryaras. Wow. So Chit Shakti, he is the expansion of that thing. Chit Shakti, the knowledge. And the same reflected thing which you will see in this material world is the knowledge when Jiva tries to get here in this world about the matter. That is also covered knowledge, that is reflected knowledge, devotees. And the biggest weapon which works for the external energy is avidya Shakti. Now, this avidya Shakti makes every living entity to forget their eternal relation with the Lord. Like for example, if I ask you, what you had 2 days before in the dinner. So avidya Shakti makes you forgetful of the things even today, even nowadays, even the moment after moment. But the biggest weapon which avidya Shakti works on Jiva is that when avidya Shakti makes you forgetful that you are the servant of Lord, that there was some relation also. So this is the ultimate weapon which material nature works on us. Now comes to the hlādinī-śakti. Now Srimati Radharani is the, you can say, the original one, the personification. So Chaitanya Charitamrita again in this chapter, Kaviraj Goswami says that the love of Krishna, that if you give a form of that love, that becomes Radharani. That is hlādinī-śakti. Now here is an interesting concept, it just came in my mind. So that's like hlādinī-śakti. The love of Krishna, just imagine, just consider this concept. Love of Krishna, that takes up some form, that becomes Radharani. If that love takes some form of Sandhini and Samvit Shakti, what that form will become? That become actually Giriraj. Rock form of love, Giriraj. That the love, it's explained in one of the Puranas, like what is the origin of Giriraj? That the love of Krishna towards Radharani, that take up the seed form, and then gradually it develops, become bigger and bigger. So Giriraj is the if you give a form in a rock form, that form will become Giriraj actually. The love of Krishna towards Radharani. This is very, I need to explain it more detail to come to that point. How Giriraj acts as a Sandhini-śakti, hlādinī-śakti and Samvit Shakti. So he exists in three. When this pranam mantra came, Namaste Girirajaya, Govardhanati Namine, Sarva Kleshanashaya, Paramanandadaine. So when it is said Sarva Kleshanashaya, so here Giriraj is considered to be Krishna. But we know that Giriraj is more merciful when we worship him as a servant of Krishna. Harir Das Varyo. So that is the original one. So when it became servant, that is Samvit Shakti actually. Sandhini Shakti is when he became as a Giriraj as a Krishna, which we read in Bhagavatam. When Krishna sat on the Giriraj and he was giving food or eating food. So that was when you see Krishna, when you see Giriraj as a Krishna, simple as that. That is like one level. But when you see Giriraj as devotee of Krishna, and who is the topmost? Giriraj Varyo, Haridas Varyo. Then he is acting into the Samvit Shakti. But when he has acted as a hlādinī-śakti, that is Radharani like over there. This is a pretty interesting concept. So hlādinī-śakti is the Shakti, Radharani is the personification of that. If you consider just the love of Krishna, that will take some form and that is Srimati Radharani. Wow. And now she does not just nourish or give pleasure to Krishna, she even give nourishment to the devotees also. To the sadhakas, whatever relishment or whatever nourishment we are getting in the Bhakti Yoga is because of the Srimati Radharani. And that's what Kaviraj Goswami again is explained in this chapter, that when the spiritual master Guru shifts bhakti to the hearts of living entity, that's what is the hlādinī-śakti has been transferred. So in some cases, hlādinī-śakti and samvid-śakti, they combine together and become Swarup-śakti of the Lord, and that goes to the heart of the devotee. Now again, it depends. The spiritual master is more combined proportion of Balram or Radharani, then accordingly the jiva will be attracted. Quite complex. That becomes the Swarup Shakti, and that's what happens when one receives bhakti devotees. Chakravarti Pad explained in Madhurya Kadamini, bhakti does not come by austerity. Bhakti does not come by even cleanliness. Bhakti does not even come by pious activity, by distributing food, by distributing clothes. No. Bhakti does not come by any other material thing. Bhakti comes from bhakti. Bhakti sanjayate bhakti. So when the spiritual master teaches the disciple and the disciple is very happy to receive the instruction, and when spiritual master sees that yes, he is very eager to learn, this is the time when the bhakti has been implemented into the heart of the devotee. It's been transferred to the devotee. It doesn't come through YouTube. It doesn't come through Flipkart. It comes through the personal sangha. It comes through that association. And that's what is happening in this verse. Hlādinīra prema-sāra bhāva. So what is the sāra of hlādinī? Is the prema. Prema means love for the Lord. Prabhupada explained this. The sense of the hlādinī potency is the love of Lord. When the Guru shifts this mercy, then the love of God, love for Krishna goes into the heart. And now the essence of love of God is flow of the emotion. When you hear the pastime, when you hear the katha of Krishna, then there will be some exchanges in the hearts. Some emotion should flow. Whenever there is a pastime of separation or union, some emotions will flow. This is the essence of even the love of Godhead. The essence of love God is emotion. That bhāv will come. Now he jumps to the next stage when he establishes, because in the upcoming verses there will be description of Srimati Radharani, like she is the embodiment of the mahā-bhāva, and the ultimate development, Prabhupada says, and the ultimate development of emotion is mahā-bhāva. Now what is that thing, mahā-bhāva? We heard about bhāv, but what is mahā-bhāva? So in simple words, mahā-bhāva is a state which is only exhibited by Srimati Radharani. Like in simple terms, if I explain you, if you have heard about Asht Sattvic Vikar, trembling of the body, hair standing on end, tears flowing. So in every rasa, they exist in some proportion. In the Shant Ras or Dasya Ras, trembling will happen, tears will flow, but not up to that extent. Tears may flow just for 1 minute. Trembling of the hand can happen for 1 second. Or hair can stand for 30 seconds. So in every rasa, there will be gradation. It will rise, it will increase. So in the Madhurya Ras, all the Sattvic Vikar, they appear in full potency, in 100%. And this stage is only exhibited in Madhurya Ras, and the topmost, when all these rasas, all these symptoms of Asht Sattvic Vikar exist in full potency in one personality, that is known as mahā-bhāva, and that is the stage of Radharani. And that is the stage which Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought, and in the Gambhīra, when he used to get faint, become used to kurma, or here and there. So if sadhaka will read in Chaitanya Charitamrita like this and thinks that one day I will get this thing, forget. No, this is a stage for Radharani actually. You may get experience of something lower gradations of that thing, not that thing. This is known as mahā-bhāva. And the ultimate development of the emotion is mahā-bhāva. And rest of the things you will study in the next class. Thank you very much. Any question or any clarification? Yes, Mike. Back.
Hare Krishna, please accept my pranams. So I have the question that how do we actually develop the taste for reading Chaitanya Charitamrita? Because I personally feel that it's a lot of philosophically based, and I sometimes lack, because of this I lack reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, whereas I tend to read Chaitanya Bhagavat. So how I actually develop reading Chaitanya Charitamrita?
By reading it.
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita is the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, they talk about the same thing. It is again underestimated concept in our tradition. We consider Bhagavad Gita to be an ordinary book or for the distribution to the others. But if one studies Bhagavad Gita deeply, thoroughly, one see it has been, again, Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that these three literatures are parallel actually. What happened in Bhagavad Gita, he gave one verse, but the expansion of that verse becomes one chapter in Bhagavatam. And the same philosophy comes into the Bhagavad Gita, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there is not so great difference. Like it is more of a jip type version, what we read in Bhagavad Gita. But yes, all these things are correlated. So both are required for the sadhaka to develop. Sometime, that's why Mahaprabhu used to say, Siddhanta bhole chitena kare alas. Like we should contemplate on the Siddhanta. Definitely the lila will give us nourishment. We should make it a balanced kind of thing for both of them. So when we see like, okay, there's a need for reading the pastime, okay, because many times this intellectual analysis may not be equal to everyone. Not that it will not be revealed. This section will be revealed. Like we discussed about these three Shaktis. In the material world, we know about the three modes of material nature. But if we are supposed to go into the spiritual world, we should know the basics of there. What's happening there? Otherwise, it will never be the case like you were there and immediately you entered into the spiritual world and you are asking, who is Rupa Manjari? Who is Krishna? No, all these things have to be clarified here only. Then Jiva will be eligible. That's what happened actually. The consciousness enters into the spiritual world. While living there, like Prabhupada was there, so was he there? He was moving here, but his consciousness was in the spiritual world. That's what happens when sadhaka divya gyan hridaya prakashita. So that divya gyan will be prakashita. That is Jiva Goswami says before starting the sandarbhas, that one thing we need to understand that you can't understand. So how you will understand then? So they will be prakashita, divya gyan hridaya prakashita. They will be revealed to you. They will be revealed to you. Now what we are supposed to do then? So Chakravarti Pad says that like someone, not the same example, someone is in the well, like water well, and he is in the bottom of that well. So if he want to come out, he need to shout. He need to give a call. And the person who is standing on the corner of the well, if he hears his call, he can drop a rope. So his calling is like the calling of a sadhaka. Sadhaka practice the limbs of bhakti yoga. So his calling can invite someone, but it totally depends on the person who will be merciful to him. That person is the spiritual master. Now, he may see him or not see him, but the sadhaka has to call. Otherwise, there is no chance of his getting rescue over there. So similarly, we practice the limbs or we practice the devotional service just to attract the mercy of the Lord, or mercy of the spiritual master. That is our primary duty. Rest depends on them. Rest depends on them, like when they will do it. So till that time, Jiva struggles. And when Krishna sees, or spiritual master sees that he wants to learn, he wants to understand, that's the time spiritual master imparts the knowledge. Otherwise, the sadhaka is asking some normal questions or some social issues or some other things. Spiritual master will give them, yathamam prabhadyate. But when the jiva strives for the higher absolute truth, then spiritual master will be eager to open the storehouse of Krishna Prem. That's how it works. So this philosophy will be cleared, or these things will be cleared, or will come to existence when jiva will be eager to go to the spiritual world. And he will think now what Krishna is doing in the spiritual world. Then he will read about the pastime. When he will get to know, okay, who are his friends? Who are his best lovers? So then he will get the details. Like a normal boy in this world, when he falls in a love, so-called love to a girl, he will ask every detail of the girl. What is his phone number? What is his likes, dislikes, where she lives, where she resides, what she does. So similarly, when the sadhaka will fall in love with the Krishna, then he'll ask about the Krishna, like what he does, where he lives, who are his friends, what he likes, what he don't like, what is his behavior. He will get into that intricacies. And that's how he is shifting his consciousness to the spiritual world. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Granth Raj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Nithai Gaur Premanandai.
Krishna, Krishna.